What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be talking about a little bit of Spec, okay? So normally when I speculate, I usually stay within my comfort zone, right? I usually stay within the DC realm and I rarely go over to Marvel. But when I do go to Marvel, it's usually because I feel there's something special about a book. And the last time I felt that a book was this special was Marvel Spotlight at the end of 2025, which was the first appearance of Johnny Blaze the Ghost Rider, and also Ultimate Fallout 4, the first appearance of Miles Morales. These are the books that gave me that kind of feeling. And today I'm going to be showing you guys Daredevil 168, a book that is giving me similar vibes because of the research that I've done with it. It just feels like it's kind of going on the same way, where it's kind of like struggling to get up there, but it's kind of primed. It's like a perfect storm to just be set off. So 168 has a lot of things going for it that I think make it the perfect storm of speculation. One of the first things that it's got going for is that it has a name behind it, right? It has an industry name in Frank Miller. So Frank Miller is one of my favorite writers of all time. So it has a name. So within a lot of the communities like that collect omnibuses and like to read stories and stuff, if you ask any omnihead, hey, what are the top 5 must-read Marvel stories? And a lot of the times you will see that the Frank Miller Daredevil run is among like 90% of the time they'll say you got to read this Daredevil run. All right, me myself, I like Frank Miller. I love Sin City. I love 300. I love his Batman stuff. So I believe it. And right now I'm currently reading about halfway through the story, and I'm telling you guys, the hype is real. In that way, that's what it has going for it, that it will always have that appeal of being an issue, a key issue of a legendary run, of a run that is a part of literary history in comic books. So it will always have that appeal. And I feel that kind of appeal that doesn't wear off. That's that more long-lasting appeal. All right. So it's got that going for it. Not only that, but Elektra right now currently is the Daredevil. This is Elektra in Daredevil 25 in the current run. And she is, as you can see, dressed up as Daredevil. So this run is being well received by the readers. People who are reading it. A lot of people are saying recommending it. And right now, I believe that she has a current run. I think it's The Woman Without Fear. And apparently it's doing well. So the literary component of this book continues as the mythos of Elektra comes through. And the fact that she's kind of a new character merged with an old character also plays in a role, I feel, in speculation. A lot of it goes with like the rights to a lot of more creators, more modern creators will benefit more if their stories are being chosen to be represented in movies and TV shows and whatnot. And it's an even better situation if new creators or new writers, new artists and stuff have a brand new character that makes it big onto the screen or makes it big onto the stuff. So that's why I kind of feel like Marvel and DC are kind of like going through, taking that shortcut where they're not telling the best stories that were ever told, but instead they're focusing more on the work of current influential writers within or creators within the industry. For example, have you noticed that a lot of the DC stuff in the direction that it's going seems to be called Jeff Johns inspired stories, from the Aquaman, Flashpoint, all that stuff. So like, I'm not saying people are doing this on purpose. I just feel like it's kind of a natural human behavior tendency or a bias for them to do this. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Elektra as the Daredevil in a different kind of media. Now, Elektra is not a stranger to media. She actually I believe she was in the Daredevil show. I believe she was in the Ben Affleck Daredevil stuff, and I believe she also had her own movie. I think it was Jennifer Gardner who represented her, and I think she did okay. The movie was just kind of terrible. It was kind of like one of those Catwoman things, and I believe she was in the TV show, but I don't know how that went, because I think I stopped after the Punisher season of Daredevil, which I thought was a great show as well. So I think that is what she's got going for, is that she's not a complete stranger to the medium of television or the big screen. So I think that's something that the character can build off of, that familiarity. So that's another thing it's got going for it. Another thing that this book's got going for it is that if you look at like the Daredevil books have kind of exploded, especially Daredevil 1. And after Daredevil, I feel like this might be the biggest key after that. I don't know, maybe Bullseye is the next one after that. But I think within those mythos, I think the big three would be the first Matt Murdock, first Elektra, and first Bullseye. Those I feel would be the most sought after books. I really don't count the Kingpin because the Kingpin is a Spider-Man villain, even though I feel like he was very big deal within Daredevil mythos. All right, now that we covered kind of the writing and the historic side of it, let's talk about the art. So again, you know, Elektra has been drawn by some legendary artists. Frank Miller's not my favorite artist, but he is known for his art. A lot of times for like the collectors that just kind of like to focus in on covers, a lot of them we like to collect like the first appearance, and then we like to supplement that collection with awesome covers. And I think that Elektra is that character that does have some really great covers out there. And I think that works well for her marketability within, you know, the comic book industry. Some of my favorite covers are gonna be like the Greg Horn covers. I'm gonna show you guys a few, like this one. This is the #1, and I think that a character that is able to translate well in the art form, I think that that's an important thing because it kind of expands her role. Something that you don't have that for a lot of characters. Sometimes you have characters who you feel like are great characters, but there's not a whole lot of great, awesome covers. And this is one of my favorite ones. These are like the Greg Horn stuff. And they're also like, by the way, these are like super cheap. So graffiti one, this one's awesome. So I think that she ought also appeal to that kind of medium as well. But all of these factors within, whether it's the history, the art, the writing, the TV medium, all that stuff has been relatively good for Elektra. So now we can see that that's kind of a solid foundation for this book. Okay, so now we're going to be diving into the market aspect of it and why the nitty gritty and why I think that this book is really on the verge of something big. So when it comes to like speculation, most of it's sensational. So when you tune into the hot top 10, most of the stuff that shows up is the stuff that's like blowing up overnight. The stuff that sells a lot of copies or increases in prices right overnight. And that's the stuff that catches everyone's attention. And a lot of times with these top 10s lists, there's a flawed method that they use for gathering data. So I would take these lists with a grain of salt. However, they are a useful tool to kind of put your finger on the pulse of a book and see where it's at, whether it's kind of like bubbling in there before it breaks through the surface. The books that I find the most interesting on hot top 10 lists are usually the runner-ups, the 11 through the 20, because these are books that are kind of there, but they're not quite there yet. This book, I've seen it on the runner-ups more often than not. You see this book that has cracked the top 10, but I don't believe, at least that I don't remember in the past year, that if this book has actually stood at the top as one of the top 3. But I do know that it has cracked the top 10 a few times. However, you see it as a more common resident within the runner-ups. And it's kind of a book that I kind of took interest in. Of course, this book, just like all the other Marvel books last year, saw that exponential growth during that kind of inflation of the market, or it just goes afterwards. It's kind of shown a little bit of a steady growth, and you start seeing a little bit of discrepancies within the pricing, and that's where things get a little bit interesting. So 9/8s are a different beast. Okay, there's people that collect 9/8s, and those things are beast. All right, that's a different story with those things. Kind of a good indicator of the true health of a speculation. I feel like it's those mid grades that really tell you the truth of what's going on with this book. I feel when 9/8s blow up and all the mid grades kind of go up a little bit, but not a whole lot, then that kind of tells you that 9/8 probably doesn't have a good foundation, or maybe the 9.8 itself is the only one that's going to stay, because 9.8s are anomalies. All right, they're freaking different beasts. So when I start looking at the mid ranges and I start seeing a lot of inconsistencies, for example, for this grade point at a 7.0, this book is listed at different prices, and they range from like $150. And there's some books that are like 7.5s and 8.0s are going for about the same money. It's usually like a $20 difference sometimes. Sometimes you have a 4.0 that's going up for significantly more, and it's usually like what, $50 less than a 6.0 or a 7.0. So it's kind of those inconsistencies within the grades that kind of give me a picture that this book hasn't settled in yet, and there's some movement going on between these books, that there is some activity going on within these mid grades. Usually when I see this kind of stuff going on, it's usually because of a book is either going up, but more than likely a lot of times the book is going down. So when you see those inconsistencies in grades, the book is probably on its way down. But another thing that I've noticed as well is that some of the books that are priced differently as well is some of them are being priced as 4.0s are being priced at like $300, and then 7.0s are like $375 or something crazy like that. There seems to be kind of a discrepancy as well in pricing, that there seems to be a premium on what is considered a newsstand book. A newsstand usually is something that comes with a barcode that was usually sold on a newsstand, newspaper, magazine rack, or whatever. And stuff that doesn't have a barcode was usually a direct edition, stuff that was directly shipped to a comic book store or something like that, or a bookstore. So, however, if you look at the graph, this book is from 1981. So at that point in time, there was actually more newsstand books than there was direct edition. So I would not go into that trap of trying to pay for a newsstand. Just try to take that newsstand tunnel vision that we might get sometimes. Like, man, I got to get the newsstand 9.8 and stuff. But sometimes we got to look at those factors, like maybe that's not the right route to go, especially for this book. Just because there's more newsstands than there is for these direct editions. However, they are being marketed as a more desirable thing. So you got to be careful. I know there's listings on it that have put a premium. And even when you look at stuff like Go Collect, they put their full market values estimates and they give a premium to the newsstands as well. So again, with these sources, we can't take them as like gospel. A lot of times we have to scrutinize the information that we're being given through these multimedias, whether it's a hot top 10, cover price, whatever your source is, including this video. Scrutinize it and before making that decision on your own. So anyways, that's the speculation. I don't know. You guys tell me what you guys think. Do you guys feel like Elektra's a good character to speculate? And if you read the Daredevil story, I'd like to know some more opinions on that if anyone's interested in talking about that. So yeah, that was it. That was my speculation video, guys. And you guys take care. All right?